This is the Coins Cashflow Conversation Podcast. I am your host, Dakota Grady, sponsored by Upstate Essential Solutions. If you need help with accounting, taxes, or personal finances, contact me today at dakotagrady.com. Hey y'all, welcome back to the podcast again. So I'm on a second episode with Dr. Danielle Williams of Medically Fab Beauty. She's in Prussia, Pennsylvania. So I never been there before. I just, I heard about it when she said it. So hey, here we are on the podcast. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, but I wanted to bring on the show again. Last show we talked about Botox. So if you didn't catch this episode, go back and watch it. This time we're talking about her story, how she got into the field as, I guess, at aesthetics with an A and an E, not the E.
There you go.
And her story about bookkeeping. So Dr. Williams, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
So for those who don't know who you are, tell about who you are and what you do, Dr. Williams.
All right. So again, I'm Danielle Williams. Hey, everyone. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I practice in Pennsylvania. I guess how I got into aesthetics. Okay. So I also practice aesthetics with an AE. So aesthetic medicine is really anti-aging, the cosmetic side of medicine. So I've been practicing in primary care. During the pandemic, I'll say I started kind of getting on social media more, noticing my, wrinkles, women over 35 starting to notice these things. When you're always on camera, taking photos, you notice. And so I actually went to visit a med spa to kind of inquire about tox filler. And my injector was great, but I felt like the environment wasn't one that reflected my aesthetic. I was actually very nervous when I showed up and no one looked like me. Some of the staff had that overfilled filler. I was like, oh my Lord. Like I'm a little nervous, but I really want to learn about it. I really want to delve into the field. So I decided that I was going to look into aesthetics, learn more about it, train in it, and open a space where diverse groups of women and brothers, if they want to come, okay, for Botox, but where a diverse group of people could come and feel like, hey, this is home for me. I'm not being exploited for my dollars here. And I think this aesthetic might work for me.
Wow. So you mentioned earlier your class when you graduated or when you went to school didn't reflect people like you. Talk about that. Did you share challenges? What challenges did you face and how'd you overcome them?
Challenges during medical school? Yeah. Oh, goodness. What? So challenges during medical school. One, I went to this was my first time actually in a predominantly white institution. So I grew up in Baltimore City, which is very, very brown and Black. Okay. So grew up in Baltimore. I then went to Hampton University for undergrad. So once again, like an environment that's cultivated to make me feel proud about who I am and my abilities and capabilities. So when I got to medical school, it was my first time in a primarily white institution. There were times, I would say, where I felt like people didn't think I belonged or questioned how I got there, like I came through the back door or something. I noticed it mostly on my clinical rotations, which took me out into the rural areas and suburbs outside of Philadelphia itself, where people would say sly things. I don't even want to repeat some of the things I've heard, but certain things about clear racist things that were said. Like, that's what it is. And it's not trying to be hidden because it's acceptable in certain places. So I would say facing that racism. I also became a brand new mom during my 4th year of medical school, which actually made me nervous, but I knew that having a child would motivate me further. And that's exactly what happened. So overcame that with the help of a lot of family. And it actually was more of a motivator. Like there's only plan A, I can't stop. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. So you opened your practice during the pandemic, sounds like, right?
No, I opened my practice a year ago. I started learning about aesthetics during the pandemic.
All right, cool. So what have some of the things, what's the biggest challenge you face in your business? We talked about it off air, but what's one of the biggest things you face in your business as a new entrepreneur?
As a new entrepreneur, the bookkeeping drives me insane. when you first open a business, right? Like you feel like you can do everything and it's okay in the beginning because you don't have a lot of clients yet. Like the whole first 2 years are really spent on advertising and really getting people to know you, people to see your work, trust you. So spending all your time actually performing the services, right? Hiring staff, making sure we have enough retail items. You get lost. Like the one thing that seems to fall like, oh, I can do this later is the bookkeeping, right? The next thing you know, the year ends and it's tax time. And where are your books? And that's that.
Interesting. I mean,
Bookkeeping.
like, I had a interview, actually, I met with a lady virtually. She was in, I think, Detroit area. I was in Detroit. And basically, it's like she was telling me that nurses go to school for nursing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't learn about accounting or taxes, right? Y'all go learn to be at the bedside and become an employee, basically. Same thing when I went to school for accounting. I was taught to be an accountant, go get a job at the firm, and be an employee. I learned about being an entrepreneur. So I knew, all right, so if I can serve this particular demographic, nurses, practitioners, I would be able to fill the gap, a need that, I'm not saying that they aren't capable of doing it, but why would you want to? You were trained to serve people. So why am I trying to do something that I'm not able to do? So that's why I'm glad that you on this podcast to talk about bookkeeping because everything that a business has coming in, income wise, or going out, expenses, has to be accounted for. And if you aren't accounting for it, how do you know your numbers? How do you know if you're making money
Hello.
in one area, if you're spending too much say on medical supplies, on tox or fillers? You don't know. You just, I got this business, woohoo, I'm up and running.
There you
But
go.
when it comes time for you to get a loan or the PPP loan, for example, or the idle loan, you don't have any financial. So how do you get the loan if you don't have the
Mm.
financial statements?
Well said. Yes, 100%. Yes. That's what we go to school for. We go to school to be clinicians, right? So it's important, like, even as an entrepreneur, to delegate and find someone to be able to take that task off your hands. Like you to me, I want to be someone who's knowledgeable of my financials, but I don't have the time. I can't push the business forward if I'm trying to do it. That's somebody else's task. And I'm sure like a CPA could do it way better than me anyway.
And that's, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I'm not medically trained to do fillers or Botox, right? I'll come to
Right?
you. That's your field.
There you go.
You're the
Yeah.
expert, right? So
Right.
you come to me for bookkeeping or taxes, right? Because that's my field. But I
Right.
think, I mean, in our community, we overlook the importance of bookkeeping. And even all right, so CPA and what I do, I'm not CPA, but just because somebody's a CPA doesn't mean that you got to go to them. For example,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
go to the doctor, right, I may go to see the NP practitioner. He can may do
Right.
the same thing and provide the same services and still add value to me. Just because I'm a bookkeeper doesn't mean I can't add value. Do you feel the same way when you are looking for a CPA? Do you think you have to have a CPA or like just from your perspective? Or do you need somebody who's a professional and can do a CPA work without SPA prices? But your thoughts as an
Um,
entrepreneur.
no, I think we need separate. So that's actually something that is super important to note the difference. I'm glad you said that. But a bookkeeper to do day-to-day bookkeeping, sometimes payroll for you, I think all that's super important. And you want somebody who's very involved in your business. To do that, someone that can kind of guide you like, hey, this is what we spent this month. These are the things we can kind of cut back on. This is where waste is. That's how you can like drive the business forward and make decisions. The CPA, I think, is someone who I kind of would need when it's tax time. Okay. What does, how should I structure my business? So learn that in advance, or at least get advice on that. What is the structure before you even form your entity? What is the structure? Okay. And the bookkeeper can work within that. But I think it would kind of be a drain on finances of a business to have both in the beginning. Okay, to have both in the beginning. You want start with your bookkeeper for the day to day and like guidance on how to like drive the business forward, and then your CPA around taxes. And I think that for me, I think that's good advice.
Got you. All right. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what people want because
Yeah.
again, I know people who are CPAs and they don't do taxes, right? And they don't do any bookkeeping. Or you may not have somebody who does bookkeeping,
Yeah,
you may not do taxes. Or you may have
right.
some people who do both. So it just depends on what people want, what they
Depends on
need.
what you're looking for.
Right, right. So I mean, but the whole point is hire a professional.
Hello.
Don't do it yourself. Again, I ain't doing no fillers on my face. Forget that. If I want to get fillers and I want to go to say Philly, I'm going up to
Yeah,
Philly, holler at me, Dr. Williams, get me right, just get me
there
right.
you
I
go.
want to keep it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, dude, like delegate off. In our community, we want, I think we're out of, and I like this is just my belief, but there's always in the back of our minds a sense of like either something's gonna lack or like a sense of not enough, And so it's like, okay, well, if I pay this person, then I won't have enough or I won't have like that's the only way I think to be able to open up and allow enough to come in is when you are taking really good care of the business, making sure the right people are in place, and then that opens the doors for like the money to flow. I mean, without somebody watching the books, you really can't drive the business forward. You can't make decisions. Like that's what I've learned. Like if I don't have down to the detail, like how much we spent on Botox, how much we wasted, how much is this person bringing in every month? How much is that person bringing in? You don't know how to scale, right? Which is most people's ultimate goal, I would hope, to scale. There's nothing reproducible if you want a franchise. Like you can't make any decisions. So it's one of those things that we take for granted that really have a huge impact on your ability to scale and make money.
I agree 100%, doctor. So any last thought before we close in terms of this podcast? I know you talked about Botox last time. This time you talked about your story, sharing the importance of bookkeeping. Can you please inform your people, your industry, in the industry, anybody listening who has a business, how important the books are? I mean, bookkeeping is essential. Can you please iterate that again?
I will say it again because I've learned the hard way. Okay. We are currently, what is today, March 11th? It's almost tax time. And again, if the books are messy, it's going to cost you to go backwards, right? I hate wasted time and I hate wasted money and I hate unnecessary fees. So, but if you don't start early and keeping those books clean from the beginning, which oftentimes, if we can just accept we can't do that by ourselves, you can't be the clinician and the bookkeeper and the hiring manager and the advertising person, like something's going to fall by the wayside and it's going to cost you whatever it is. So the sooner you can get someone on the books, the less money you have to waste. I can't even say waste, the less money you have to put towards someone having to go backwards over stuff that could have been done right the first time. So
And it's an investment for your business because again, you
yeah,
can't know your numbers without somebody doing it for you, the bookkeeping for you.
that's the
So
best
look,
part. That's the best word. It's an investment. It is actually an investment when it's time to scale. Like you don't want to wait until you need to do it, right? Like tax time, you need to do it. You're behind on taxes, you really need to do it. You're ready to scale, you need a loan, you really, really need to do it. And it just, yeah, you can't make decisions. And so it's like paddling or having your players run up and down the court without knowing the rules of the game. Like, I don't, do we shoot here? Do we shoot there? We don't know because nobody's kind of been keeping score. So, yeah.
I like that analogy right there. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Williams,
Everything.
tell us about how to find you on social media and your website, please.
Oh, yes. Find me on Instagram at medicallyfab_beauty. My personal is Dr._medicallyfab. You can also find us at Medically Fab Beauty and Wellness located in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, 198 Allendale Road, Suite 303. We are directly across the street from King of Prussia Mall. So that in and of itself is a reason to come. Come shop, then come see us.
Come shop and get the tops. All right.
Yes, shop and top. I liked it. Can I keep that?
So thanks for your time, Dr. Williams.
No problem. Y'all take care.
And this is the Coins, Cashflow, and Conversation podcast, sponsored by Upstate Essential Solutions. Hey, y'all. come holler at your boy. You need bookkeeping done, taxes done too, I got you. Contact me today at dakotagrady.com. Again, the website is dakotagrady.com. Thanks for listening to the podcast, y'all.